All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Math 140 and Math 140S Applied Calculus with Algebra Support. Okay. So if you're watching this video, you're in the right place. So welcome to the class and hopefully you stay with us. Okay. So here's agenda for this sort of video. It's about me introducing myself a bit. I know it's hard with an online instructor, but let me try to tell you a little bit about myself and, maybe uh, get a little familiar, a little more comfortable. Then we're going to go over the syllabus a little bit, right? You guys should definitely read it yourselves, but just kind of go over the highlights of it. We're going to go over kind of a Canvas walkthrough, kind of go through our weekly modules, right, for this online course, and we're going to go over some required materials that are needed. Okay, so let's get started. So, just a couple logistics before. Oops. Couple logistics before we get started. Um, I am Matt Escajeda, your instructor for this course. And we don't have any meetings. It's a totally online class, right? And what the main sort of meetings we have is on your own time, but watching lecture videos, right? That would be lecture videos for content from our notes and lecture videos for self-check assignments, which we'll see in a second. And so if you ever need help, my office hours are in the math building in Pittsburgh. It's in my office. It's Monday, Wednesday, 10, 11 a.m., Tuesday, Thursday, 12:45 to 1:45 p.m., and Tuesday, Thursday, 3 to 4 on Zoom. Okay, so those are my office hours. You can also go to the math lab in Pittsburgh and Brentwood. You can see the info on my syllabus or just look it up on the LMC website. But if you ever need help outside of my office hours, the math lab will always be there to help you, right? They're like 12 to 5, Monday through Friday. Okay. So contact me. You can email me. You could Canvas message me or you could Pronto message me. Okay. So you can see the Pronto QR code in our homepage on Canvas. Okay. So next we have, let me tell you a little bit about myself. So myself, I'm a local kid. I grew up here in Pittsburgh, went to Pittsburgh High, all of that. And so I myself have a sort of a different education path than most professors you might meet. So I was not a big school oriented student in high school, right? So after high school, I graduated and I decided not to go to college and I just went straight to work. And I worked for about a year and I found that I should maybe be doing something more uh, with my life. So what I decided to do was just go back to LMC, that's right down the street, and try out some classes. So started trying out some classes, and I found that I really liked some science classes. So I started taking a bunch of STEM and science classes. You see the STEM here, physics, biology, chemistry, math. And so what I found the most appealing to me, mainly because of my instructors being, I think, some of the coolest people that I've met, I decided to pursue a math degree to become a math professor. So I finished my math for transfer here at LMC, and I transferred to East Bay in 2019. And so through the pandemic, I finished my bachelor's in math at East Bay in 2021, and then still in COVID, right? Still in COVID. So I stayed at East Bay and just finished my master's for the next couple of years, and I finished in 2023. Okay, so that's kind of my background. So I kind of was sitting where you guys are at now, just like taking a couple of classes and trying to figure out what to do, right? And luckily I found a passion, and I'm sure you guys will too. And if you ever need like advice or anything like that, just let me know. Okay, so I know we won't see each other because it's online, but if you ever want to come see me and talk, um, feel free to. Okay, so that's a little bit about me, and let's go ahead and check out the syllabus. Okay, so what I'm going to do is stop sharing my screen and I'm going to share my iPad. So I'm going to share my screen really quick. Okay, so here is the course syllabus. Okay, so you guys should definitely go over this yourselves, right? But just in case, let's go over the highlights. Okay, so this is a really a 6 unit course, but it's divided up into two. We have this Math 140 part and this Math 140S part. The 40 part is the main course. It's the only course I'm going to publish, and it's 4 units. And the 140S is a support class, which is 2 units. Okay. So it's entirely online, right? The class is entirely online. We don't meet, you just have lecture videos. And here's my contact. And I went over my office hours in the previous PowerPoint. So there's a couple requirements for this class, right? What you need to do is get much better. So what you need to do is get an XYZ all access pass. Okay, so this is a low cost course. So it's going to be $45 to get this access pass, okay? And it's a 15-day free trial in case you're taking a class and you realize you don't want to continue. Well, after about 15 days, you can just not submit your credit card information or your payment information, and like you're clean. So the pass can be bought at xyz.com if you just want to register on a separate site, but you could also go through Canvas and click on an assignment, and then it'll just ask you to sign up right there. So we'll kind of look through that in a second. Um, so it comes with the ebook, right? A textbook is not required for this course, but it comes with the ebook if you want to reference the notes at the textbook or check out some practice problems or things like that, okay? But what you also need is this note module, right? The Applied Calculus 140 Lecture Notes and Labs Brentwood Edition. So they could be bought at the LNC bookstore. It's also a PDF on Canvas if you want to print it out yourself, or you want to upload it on like a tablet if you're using that. But you definitely need this module because it has all our lab assignments and it has our notes. The notes I'll be lecturing off of. So you definitely need that. Okay. And of course, you need line paper, pencil, and eraser just to go do your homework. Okay. So some optional materials. I definitely recommend getting a type of graphing calculator because it just makes life a lot easier. You could rent one in the Brentwood Math Lab or Pittsburgh Math Lab, right? The hours are like 12 to 5, I think. But, I definitely recommend it. It's not required because there's some free graphing calculators online like Desmos. You know, I could show you really quick. This is Desmos right here, and it's just a free online calculator. Okay. And you could just do like, y equals 2x or something like that. Things like that. You could do calculations. 3 squared equals 9. Okay, so things like that. But calculator is just easy to use. But once again, it's uh, free tools as well. But okay, so those are some requirements, right? And here's a description of the course, Math 140, Math 140S. I definitely recommend you read through those. I'm not going to read through it. But just some frequently asked questions about this type of Math 140 and Math 140S. Like, how does a combination work? Well, the 40S is just like algebra supplement, right? So we're just really going over some algebra skills. So that's how it really works. And it just gives you guys more support. Whereas opposed to a regular Math 140 class, we wouldn't cover all the algebra in details we would here. Okay, so how will I be assigned a grade for this class? Your transcript will show a grade for both classes, but you will get the same grade for both 140, 140S. So if you have a B in 140, then you'll get a B in 140S. Okay, because the work is just blended together. And just recall, you're in the 140 shell right now, but I'm only going to publish the 140 part. I'm not going to do the 140S because I want to keep everything together in modules. Okay. So, can I drop 140S and stay in 140? Like, no, you can't. You have to be enrolled in both. Okay. So, online drop policy, you have to complete the syllabus quiz and meet and greet discussion by the end of this first week. uh, meaning like, by Sunday midnight, in order to stay in the class, all right? So if you don't complete either one of them, right, you have to complete both. It's not one or the other. I'll email you to try and meet with you. And if there's no response within like 24 hours, then it's an automatic drop, okay? And likewise for, if there's like a 2 week period where you're not doing anything, you're not responding to anybody, and you don't confirm to meet with me, then it'll be a drop situation. Okay. Then if you ever want to drop the course, it's like definitely your responsibility to do that yourself. I'm not going to, keep track of dropping you. If you just like decide out of nowhere to drop, it's definitely your responsibility. Okay. So make sure if you want to drop, do that so that it won't reflect on your transcript. Okay. And make sure to watch out for the drop dates on the LMC website. Okay. So delivery is going to be delivered in weekly modules. So week 1 module, week 2 module, week 14 module, things like that. And in each module, I'll provide lecture videos for each section that we cover from our guided notes. I'll have self-checks and self-check videos, XYZ homework, labs, lab discussions, things like that. Okay, so you'll see it. We'll start getting into the groove around week 2 where we have our XYZ lab discussions, things like that. Okay, so here's our class or the grading summary, right? XYZ homework is 8%, labs are 10%, labs and basically discussions are 10%, self-checks and possible quizzes are 10%. We're gonna have 3 exams, each at 14%, and a final exam is 20%. Okay, so that's how the grading works for this. So XYZ homework, the goal is to get like 100% on this homework, okay? Because you have unlimited attempts to do these problems, right? Uh, so it's a web-based homework. So you'll go through Canvas, you'll click on it, and you'll just do your homework through Canvas. So, like I said, each problem may be submitted an unlimited number of times. XYZ homework is always due by Friday midnight for that week's material. And if you can do it late, right? There's a thing called late pass that you can apply to the homework, but it would be reduced 30% if you do it late. Okay. So I recommend you do all the work in it's like a spiral notebook, like that 70-page spiral notebook, so that you can go back and study and refer to it. Okay. So as previously stated, you need to purchase an XYZ All Access Pass. It's like $45. You get a free ebook with it. The textbook's not required. It's just you get it with along the XYZ registration. And you need this pass. You got to do the homework, right? As part of the grade. So, you can either go to XYZ and sign up, or you can just click on one of the homework assignments in Canvas, and then it'll just take you to sign up through Canvas. So, so click on one of the homework assignments to register for the course. You can either register for a new account or create an existing account. Okay, so if you're having trouble signing up, just let me know. But it's kind of self-explanatory. Like you'll be like, I'll show you in a second, but it'll be like sign in or create a new account. And you should be good. So lab assignments are a big part of this too. They'll always be due at a Wednesday by midnight, the following Wednesday. So right, like following Wednesday. Okay, so say if we had a lab this week, right? Say if we would do that, well then the lab would be due next Wednesday. It wouldn't be due this Wednesday, next Wednesday. Okay, so that's how labs really work. So you know, kind of some details about lab is if you submit it late, it's reduced by 30%. You must show all work. If you're just putting answers, it's kind of going to give you any points. And then there's also an option that you could resubmit a lab that I've graded, for a better score. You can do that. Uh, and there's also some extra credit opportunities for lab assignments with practice exams. Okay. And so lab assignments, they must be submitted as I'm gonna write here, one PDF, right? If you're submitting multiple like documents, I'm gonna give it a 0. until it's one PDF, right? Because I can't juggle back and forth between a bunch of different documents. So submit it as one PDF, make it clean, make it legible. And Adobe Scan is like a free app on your app store. Download it, and it's a really easy way to PDF scan something. Okay, so that's the lab assignments. And so if you ever need help, right, outside of my office hours, or you're just like you need help way more than just 1 hour, the math tutoring centers in Brentwood and Pittsburgh are definitely the go-to. Go there if you need help. Okay, so this 12 through 5, Monday through Friday in Pittsburgh, Brentwood, and online. Okay, so another thing to do is lab and Q&A discussions. So we have for our lab assignments, we will have a lab discussion. So um, you would need to submit a post by 11:59 p.m. on a Sunday and reply to two peers by Monday of like some type of lab problem. So if you say, for instance, we had a lab due next Wednesday, you would post a problem on Sunday by midnight and then respond to two others by Monday midnight. So that's kind of how that works. And it's worth 10% of your grade. Sometimes it won't be all lab assignments. Sometimes it might be like a Q&A discussion. Okay, so that's kind of how discussions work. You'll see how it works once we get into the rhythm of the class. And self-checks and quizzes, self-checks just really help us reinforce material from the lecture. And so, after a lecture, I'll have a left self-check assignment, and then I'll post another video about how to do the self-check questions, and then you can just submit that as one PDF. Okay. And there might be an occasional quiz on Canvas. I'll definitely let you know beforehand if there's any quiz. But together, these count as 10% of your grade. Okay. So there will be three exams, each worth 14% of your grade. And there's a final exam worth 20% of your grade. If you miss an exam, there won't be any makeups. Uh, so the final exam replaces your lowest exam score, right? So in case you miss an exam, your final exam score could replace it. But yeah, there can't be any makeup exams. And so, the exams will be like 24 hours to submit on Canvas. If you miss that, you know, that can't make that up. And so to create an equal environment for everyone and prevent cheating, I will randomly select some students for a brief Zoom meeting to review their submissions and discuss their reasoning. So please don't cheat. Please be honest. Please don't share answers. Please don't copy each other because every single exam I'm going to pick a couple random of you students to have a discussion with me about how you figured out your answers and you know and if you don't respond to me or you can't explain to me why you did something, then it's going to be a zero. Okay, so that's kind of how this works and to keep the honesty within this online exam. Okay, but more on that when we get to the exam part. Okay, so just a couple student stuff, a couple online policies, cheating policy, couple student learning outcomes for both sections. And then I just have a sort of um, course layout of like every week, what content we're covering and what's really due that week. I don't have the discussions on here exactly, but here's your sub checks, here's your XYZ, and here's your labs. But okay, so that's really syllabus walkthrough. There's going to be some overlay within our Canvas walkthrough, but I just want to kind of go through it in case like you're confused about something. But definitely read through it and make sure you're understanding some stuff. Okay, but just remember the required materials, get those out the way. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is stop sharing on my tablet. Okay, and let me go back to sharing my screen. Okay, so we went over the syllabus. Okay, so we're gonna go through a Canvas walkthrough, um, weekly modules, XYZ homework, lab assignments, lab discussions, cell checks, study skills, and additional materials. Okay, so let me jump to Canvas really quick. One second. Okay, so here we are in Canvas, right? I'm going to go to my dashboard and show you that I'm only publishing this 140 course and I'm not publishing the support course. Okay, so you see how it says publish. I'm not publishing that. Okay, so um, everything will be in this 140 course. So let me go to it, right? We have our homepage, right? Quick links, syllabus, notes, textbook, and other logistical information. Here's a Pronto uh, QR code there. So we're going to our orientation module. Make sure to complete everything in here and read through everything. And, make sure your syllabus quiz and meet and greet discussion. But really, how the course works is in weekly modules. So you see here, this is a week one module, and it's about introductions and algebra review. Um, you'll you'll find the kind of week one module overview in this page here. There's no week one lab assignment. There's no XYZ homework because we're just doing some introductions and algebra review. Okay, so if you're watching this video, that means you're in this page right here, introduction video. You can find the slides right here, and here's a quiz and discussion on another module just to keep track of it. So really, that's how the modules work. I'll have, the content here, learning objectives, lecture videos, self-checks, and, you could find your lab assignments here and your XYZ homework here. And the discussion would also be within the lab assignment. Okay, so that's kind of how Canvas works. You'll just find everything in your weekly module. Okay, so don't gotta go anywhere else. It'll all be right here. Okay, so that's how that works out. And required materials, I just want to go through this again. You need a note module. You need the Applied Calculus Notes and Labs module. So you can get it from the bookstore, you can print it from Canvas for free, or you can upload a PDF onto your tablet like I do. So you definitely need that, okay, to follow along the notes. And the XYZ Access Pass, you can buy it online. They might have it at the bookstore. I'm not sure. They might have like a physical uh, plastic thing that you can buy, and then just they give you a code and you use it, or you can just buy it online at the website or just through Canvas, okay? 15-day free trial, then you don't got to go to the website. Everything will just be through Canvas in our modules. Okay, and just once again, recommended materials is the graphing calculator. You can run one at the Math Lab. Desmos is free online. But one thing I want to show you about the XYZ, just in case it's a little confusing. Okay, so I'm going to put in like an XYZ assignment, right? So let's say homework one in this module. It says due this week, but I'm just going to put it here. I'm going to put it here. I'll publish it, you know. So say I'm going to be a student. I'm one of you guys, you as a student. Okay, so I'm a student now, right? This is what you would look like. Oops, sorry. Let me fix this really quick. Sorry. Okay, so I'm going to view this as a student so that I could show you guys what I mean by signing up for XYZ. So say this isn't due this week, but this is like our first XYZ assignment, right? Say I'll click on it, um, and then it's asking me, here's XYZ, is connecting it, it's integrated. So either, if you went to xyz.com and you sign up already, you would just type in, Matt Escajeda and then your password, right? Or you have the option of just creating an account right here, right? And just enter your email, password, whatever your ID you want it to be. And then you create your account. And that's pretty much it. So you don't have to do a bunch of crazy stuff. You just click on assignment when it's due. We won't have anyone due till next week. But that's how you would sign up for XYZ. Okay, so that is how you would do that. Okay, so let me stop sharing. I think that's all I got to say for now. Um, Welcome to the course and hope you guys enjoy the material and let me know if you have any questions. Okay, thank you.